Hello, and thank you for contacting Wave Support. I see from your request that you're struggling with this patient who's keratoconus, and you've done multiple fits over the last few years. And as you know, these can be very difficult to fit, and I quite often find that it can be very frustrating trying to get these keratoconus patients comfortable. If we look at your designs, you actually have done a great job with your designs based on the information that you have. If we look at your topography for the right eye, as you know, one of the challenges that we run into is that the scout topographer doesn't give us great data out in the peripheral cornea. So a lot of that is extrapolated data. And so WAVE, as you know, is a very accurate system trying to do its best with data that's probably not really true to the real world. So we have to use a lot of clinical intuition and your clinical expertise to try to make as many adjustments as you can on your own. So with that in mind, if we talk about your right lens, I believe you, from your clinical support, you mentioned that that lens tends to be very flat, kind of flat centrally, and some edge off around the outer edge. So if we look at your design, I've brought it up here, you'll see that from the design, if you just think about what WAVE is representing here, you would think this lens would be pretty nicely fitting, pretty nice and snug, but obviously clinically it's not presenting that way. So a couple of tricks that you can use to try to snug that lens up. You mentioned that centrally it tends to be kind of flat, I believe. So one of the easiest things to do if you switch over to axial, that tends to generally give you a little steeper fit. What I'll tend to do in these patients, I'll look at that lower right design and try to sink my red dot somewhere around midpoint of the red area. In this case, I'd probably go about 4.5 or so. And what I did, and then you can use this little tool down here. If you haven't tried yet, the little S factor, which is a little asphericity. And that sort of helps WAVE try to more accurately map that cornea in all the different meridians. So I did a little mock-up here for you. I basically took the same lens that you had, moved the red to about 4.5, and the blue I think went about 575. We clicked in about a half dot, about 0.05 of the S factor, and you'll see after I designed it with the current settings, you'll see now that that lens is very snugly matching the green corneal line. So what that should do in theory is give you a little steeper fit because it's axial. Hopefully that'll bring that outer edge down a little bit more. You may even want to bring it down manually by either the 25% quadrant control or the 100%, and just bring that down a little bit more in the peripheral part here depending on your clinical intuition. So that's probably the best way to get that lens snugging back up, using the same philosophy for the left eye. Another option you might try if you're struggling with that, you may consider switching over to a mini scleral design. I find it very difficult sometimes with these keratoconus patients in these smaller lenses, although I'm a big small lens fan. You could do that if you're going to go to a mini scleral. You have a couple options. Either go to this tools, down the bottom just hit large diameter lens, and that'll give you about a nice starting point for about a 14 to 14.5 lens. Or you can go to, if you go to the WAVE clinical training site, you'll see there's a great video that was put together by one of the other docs that kind of walks you through manually designing the 8-point step for a keratoconus patient, actually very similar to yours for a semi-scleral design. And in the email that I send with this, I'll send the link to that website, to that video. Anyways, I hope you find that helpful. I wish you well. Don't get frustrated. I've had many cases like this where you feel like you're spinning the wheels, but keep with it, and eventually I think you'll find some success. Thank you for contacting WAVE Support, and have a great day.